Sounds good.
Everyone, this is Dr. James Lyons-Weiler. I'm coming to you from the WWDNYK Studios in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in spite of a well-timed power outage. I'm not a conspiracy nut, but I am a conspiracy theorist, and I announced that this special segment of Unbreaking Science was going to go live at 2 o'clock today, about 1 o'clock, and I've been working to get some type of power up here in the house with uninterrupted power supplies and battery packs. So without further ado, what I want to do is struggling to stream. We'll see if this is going to go, if it's junk. But what I want to do is I want to get right into what's going on with HPV vaccination. So some time ago, I'm going to bring this up, I had done an analysis because a man named Josh Mazer in Maryland pointed out to me that the CDC study of type replacement seemed to be a little bit off. The CDC study on type replacement, which is the substitution of rare types that are not vaccine targeted with more common types that are vaccine targeted, appeared to conclude, well, they did conclude that there was no type replacement of the rare types with the more common types, but there was something wrong with the way they did their analysis. They analyzed each of the types of HPV separately, individually, instead of putting them into the vaccine targeted types and the non-vaccine targeted types. And what you're looking at here on the screen is any other HPV that other than the vaccine targeted type in my analysis, which is in Mary Holland's book with the other authors, Kim Kim Mack Rosenberg and Eileen Iorio, actually does increase. If you consider all the types, the rare types, they do increase in the population in terms of infection. And the vaccine targeted HPV, of course, decreased. Now, what Josh pointed out was that the study found no net change in infection. And he said, how can we possibly have no net change in infection without type replacement? And he's exactly right. The population dynamics of HPV transmission in the population would tell us that, yes, we should see type replacement. And there are plenty of studies that we did find from many different countries. There's absolutely type replacement going on due to the HPV vaccination program. And what would happen if type replacement is going on with HPV vaccination program is that the rarer types, which are more deadly, would tend to cause cervical lesions in women who are younger than 45 to 50, 54, 55 years old, and they could be very aggressive. That's because, the reason why we should think that is because rare viruses are rare for a reason. They kill people, meaning they kill their host. This is evolutionary biology 101 when it comes to infectious diseases. So if HPV type replacement is happening following HPV vaccine, which is exactly what we see, then we should see a net increase in the rates of cervical cancer, or at least cervical cancer, precancerous lesions in countries that have had the HPV vaccine around for a while. Now, this next thing I'm going to show you is by Annette Garland, published in September 13, 2018. And you can go to this article and you see that she explains that the data in trends of HPV vaccination are inversely correlated with an increase in HPV related cervical cancer rates in different countries. And I went to the UK data as one example, and I pulled out just to clarify, and this is from an article of mine on LinkedIn, I pulled out the trends over from 1995 until 2016, where the data were available. The rates were decreasing from 35 to women aged 35 to 49. Rates were increasing from 25 to 34. And look what happened with the rates, percent change in cervical cancer risk relative to 1995 in the young age group, the one that was targeted with vaccines. This is for the HPV vaccine. It was the Cervarix vaccine. It stayed steady for a while, and then it increased. Now, is probably not the only thing. The type replacement is probably not the only thing contributing to this. Doctors are telling their patients, of course, you're covered. You've been vaccinated against HPV, and so you are protected from HPV because they don't really know. What they're talking about. Well, you're not protected against HPV when you're vaccinated with the Gardasil or the Cervarix. You're only protected, and probably for a short period of time, from the types that the vaccine actually targets. And so these rarer types that are more deadly are potentially going to spread throughout the population. And I think the data, certainly are found in the CDC study. There's a French study, there's a German study, there's an Italian study that actually found type replacement. And so I'm speaking very fast because we're on short battery time here. We've got about 12 minutes left, and I'm going to give the balance of the time to Josh. I want to introduce Josh. He's a friend of mine. He's a dad who does what he does because he's concerned about health in our population due to vaccination and due to other reasons. This is his article right here. It's published in the journal Science, Public Health Policy and the Law. He found excess teen suicide risk associated with Gardasil exposure. He has other resources that we're going to get to as he's talking. But Josh, I want to just welcome you to Unbreaking Science and thank you for everything you're doing.
Hey, Jeff. Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me aboard, Jack.
You're welcome.
So the type of work that I'm doing, Jack, is centered on public policy in Maryland. And my personal viewpoint is that if people want the HPV shot, go out and get it. What I would like to do is make Maryland look like Japan. Japan did a hard launch on the HPV shot. It was approved in 2006. In 2013, they vaccinated approximately 8.1 million kids over a 4 to 6 month period. And then they immediately withdrew government approval for the shot. The reason they did that, according to Medscape, was because of thousands of adverse events. So the situation in Japan, you can buy the shot, but the government doesn't act as a booster for the shot. So about, I don't know, when my daughter was 12, 2 years ago, she brought home a letter to every superintendent in the school system in Maryland, directing the superintendents using the coercive power of the state to enlist our actual schools to be sales agents for Merck. And that struck me as being strange. So I started getting into the genesis of that program. I have filed numerous Public Information Act requests with the state of Maryland and visited my legislators. I had a meeting with our state general. I had a meeting with the deputy director of the Department of Health. What I found is that the Centers for Disease Control came into Maryland and they said, basically, we want you to increase the uptake of HPV vaccine in Maryland from 40% to 80%, consistent with 2020 goals. And please note, this had nothing to do with the citizens. No parents had any input. So in order to make this happen, there's doubling of the uptake rate. As you're putting up there now, that's the letter that was in the school. STD.com. That's HPV is STD.com, one word. The letter you're looking at now is they're breaking down the kids by sex, age, reporting them to the department, to the superintendents, and saying, go get them. So when I met with Dr. Half, I went over this letter, and I pointed to numerous factual inaccuracies. And this language is dictated by the CDC to Maryland. Based on my input, in 2018, the letter was changed. And in 2019, the letter was dropped completely. So the message there is that it's possible to change policy if you get enough of this. On this screen you're looking at, in the middle, it should say on the top, contact Governor Hogan. We've gotten about 500 emails to Governor Hogan, concerned Maryland folks, and they are saying to Governor Hogan, stop bonusing the HPV shot. So as I dug into this a little bit more, I discovered that the state has accepted $100 million, $150 million over 5 years. They ignored the death of Christina Tarsal of Sparks, Maryland. Christina Tarsal, Emily Tarsal's daughter, starting, I guess it was right after the vaccine was approved, approximately 2008. Christina took 3 doses of the shot. She was a well-documented athlete, had numerous physical exams. Her first ever arrhythmia occurred after her first shot. her second ever arrhythmia after her second, and she was found dead before her third. Took 8.5 years. The U.S. Court of Federal Claims confirmed the HPV vaccine caused the death of Christina Tarsal. That decision was announced in 2017.
Josh, tell us about your email campaign. We got about 8 minutes left of battery here. So tell us about your email campaign. I know. Okay.
So with the death of Christina and all the money, we've initiated an email campaign to let Governor Hogan know that we would like this public policy to change. We would like, if you can, if you want to buy the shot to protect your daughter against approximately 1 in a very small number, I believe it's 99.96% chance that she won't get it. If you are interested in buying the shot, you can, but we don't think the state should be pushing it. So if you go to that HPVisSTD.com page, please click the link to Governor Hogan an email. And the message for that is stop the bonus payments. Because the other thing we discovered is that the Department of Health is involved in providing cash bonuses, $5,000 cash bonuses, free dinners, bottled wine, money incentives to pediatric Maryland to achieve HPV vaccine sales. So it's like Glengarry Glen Ross around here. When your pediatrician taking a shot to you, ask them, is my kid the one that gets the bonus? How many bottles of wine are you going to get if my kid takes a shot? Because that's the way they roll in Maryland. That's what they're doing.
How many emails do you think have gotten to Governor Hogan?
We've got about 500 so far.
Okay.
500 so far emails, and they're answering the emails in a disjointed and panicky way.
And how many Maryland citizens have received notice of this basically payoff for this unsafe vaccine?
So far, nobody knows about it. It was all done under the cover. It was done by State Senator Clarence Lamb in collaboration with Dr. David Bly, the Maryland State Chief Epidemiologist. They're making statements about the HPV vaccine that are not supportable. And Clarence Lamb, to the Conference of Industry Insiders, said, we are working systematically with the State Department of Health to mandate the shot in Maryland within the next 1 to 2 years. So if you Maryland folks don't want to have an HPV vaccine mandate rammed down your throat, get onto HPVisSTD.com. That's one word, HPVisSTD.com. Hit the link to send Governor Hogan an email. And at the very top of the email, it's preloaded. You can tell them your thoughts on mandatory HPV shots in Maryland. You can tell them your thoughts on cash bonuses in medical practices in Maryland. We think this is unethical shouldn't be happening.
Okay, Josh, we got about 2 minutes left. What I'm asking is, how many people have opened your email and clicked on it? You're getting some reach there.
Incredible. That's an incredible story. On a separate track,